The notification pinged on my phone while I was rearranging a display of artisanal candles in my cozy Seattle coffee shop. I'm done with you, Emily. I'm moving to Austin with my 22-year-old girlfriend. Oh, and I cleared out our shared account. Good luck. My fingers froze mid-motion, the scent of lavender and cedarwood suddenly too sweet. I didn't gasp. I didn't cry. I just stood there, staring at the words from Tom, my husband of 10 years, as if they were written in a language I didn't quite understand. A customer waved for a refill, and I forced a smile, my voice steady as I poured her coffee. Only the faintest clench of my jaw betrayed the storm brewing inside. I'm Emily Carter, 36 years old, and I'd just been handed the cruelest breakup text in the history of bad decisions. But while Tom was probably chuckling to himself, picturing me collapsing in despair, I was calmly wiping down the counter, locking up the shop for the night. The signs had been there for months, hadn't they? Late nights at his tech startup that never added up to his paycheck. A new passcode on his phone he claimed was for security. The way he'd started wearing cologne again, buying flashy sneakers, acting like he could outrun his 40s. 6 months ago, I'd found an email confirmation for a weekend getaway to Portland, on a weekend he'd sworn he was at a work conference. That same night, I'd opened a private savings account at a credit union across town. When he suggested merging our finances to make things easier, I'd nodded along, all smiles, while quietly transferring my personal earnings to my new account. The joint account he'd just drained? It held just enough to keep him from sniffing out my plan, about 3 months' worth of regular deposits. The rest of my money, along with every questionable receipt and bank statement I'd collected, was safe and sound. My phone buzzed again as I flipped the shop's closed sign. No point begging, Emily. Jessica and I fly out tomorrow. I'll grab my stuff later. Jessica. The intern at his startup. I'd met her at their office happy hour, noticed how she hung on his every word, her hand lingering on his shoulder a second too long. She was young enough to believe his promises, naive enough to think she was his future. I didn't reply. Instead, I dialed my attorney, the one I'd hired 3 months ago after spotting charges for a romantic dinner cruise on our credit card, on a night Tom claimed he was stuck at the office. It's go time, I said, my voice calm. He just made his move. The divorce papers are ready, she replied. I can file them tomorrow. Want me to serve him in Austin? Not yet, I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. Let him think he's in the clear. Another text from Tom lit up my screen. I know this is tough for you. You're not exactly young anymore, are you? At least you've got your cute little coffee shop to keep you busy. My cute little coffee shop, the one I'd built from a dream into a thriving business, the one that brought in more revenue than his innovative app ideas ever did, the one whose profits I'd meticulously kept separate from our joint finances. I locked the shop door, the jingle of the bell echoing in the quiet. Tom would soon learn about Washington state property laws, and the certified letters waiting for him in Austin. Back at my apartment, the one I'd inherited from my aunt and kept solely in my name, despite Tom's hints to add him to the lease, I poured myself a glass of Pinot Noir. Another text from him, Jessica gets me in ways you never did. I've been planning this for months. Don't worry, my family knows we just drifted apart. No hard feelings, right? I screenshotted it, adding it to my growing folder of evidence. Every word he typed was another nail in his coffin. Then came the kicker, oh, and I used our joint card for the flights and our hotel. My treat. LOL. Perfect. I called the credit card company right then. This is Emily Carter. I need to report unauthorized charges and cancel a card. Can you specify the charges, ma'am? The representative asked. 2 plane tickets to Austin booked today. A hotel reservation at the Driscoll. And please remove my husband as an authorized user. Do you have proof of fraud? I've got texts from him bragging about using our card for his trip with his girlfriend after emptying our bank account. Happy to send them over. The representative's voice held a hint of amusement as she processed my request. All set, ma'am. Those charges are disputed, and the card is cancelled. Tom and Jessica would land in Austin tomorrow to find their tickets voided, their hotel booking gone. One last text from Tom before I turned off my phone: "Don't stress about the apartment. I'll let you stay there until you find something cheaper." I laughed out loud, the sound sharp in the quiet of my living room. Did he really think he had any claim to my aunt's apartment? Had he forgotten whose name was on the lease? Another buzz, "And I know your shop's your baby. We can split it fairly later." Split my business? The one I'd funded with my own savings, grown through late nights and early mornings while he called it my side hustle? I sipped my wine, savoring the thought of the lessons Tom was about to learn. The next morning, my phone was flooded with furious texts from Tom. "What the hell, Emily? The airline says our tickets are cancelled. The hotel too. Answer me." I ignored them, heading to my coffee shop to prep for the Saturday rush. The smell of fresh espresso filled the air as I set out pastries and checked inventory. Life didn't stop just because your husband ran off with an intern. By noon, his sister, Rachel, called. "Emily, Tom's saying you've been impossible to live with, that you pushed him into this. He says you're sabotaging his trip now." I put her on speaker while I frosted a batch of scones. "Did he mention clearing out our joint account or charging his getaway on our credit card?" A long pause. "He said you forced him to take the money, that you were controlling his finances." "Rachel, I've got his texts. Want me to read you the one where he laughs about it? Or the one where he mocks my age?" Another silence. "He didn't tell us that part." I'm sorry, Emily. This doesn't sound like him. "I've always liked you, Rachel, but my lawyer says I shouldn't talk to Tom's family right now. Let's leave it there." "Lawyer? Already?" Her voice faltered. "Goodbye, Rachel." By afternoon, word was spreading through mutual friends. Tom and Jessica were stuck at a cheap motel near the Austin airport, their big escape off to a rocky start. Apparently, his personal credit cards were already maxed out, another clue I'd picked up months ago. My lawyer called with an update. "We've got an emergency hearing set for Monday." With his texts admitting to draining the account and the credit card charges, we're in a great position to freeze any remaining assets. "Has he been served yet?" I asked, wiping down a table. "Not yet, but we'll get him at that motel." "Oh, and Jessica's been posting about their romantic adventure online. She's not exactly subtle about shading you." I grinned, thinking of my own evidence, months of bank statements, receipts, and Tom's careless texts. He'd been so busy planning his getaway, he never noticed I was planning too. Saturday at my coffee shop was a whirlwind of steaming lattes, clinking mugs, and chatter about the weekend. My phone stayed silent. Tom's furious texts had stopped, probably because he was too busy scrambling at that Austin motel. I smiled as I handed a customer a to-go cup, imagining his confusion when the hotel desk clerk shrugged at his cancelled reservation. He'd always underestimated me, hadn't he? Thought I'd be the one panicking, not him. Around closing time, my assistant manager, Lily, caught me staring out the window at the Seattle drizzle. "Everything okay, Emily?" she asked, wiping down the espresso machine. "Better than okay," I said, turning to her with a grin. "Just tying up some loose ends." That night, I sat in my apartment, flipping through a photo album from our early days, Tom with his goofy smile, before he'd traded it for a fake tan and a midlife crisis. Back then, he'd been a dreamer, talking about coding the next big app while I poured my savings into this coffee shop. These days? He wore skinny jeans that didn't fit his frame, tried too hard to impress his startup's interns, spouted TikTok slang that made him sound like a try-hard 42-year-old. My phone buzzed again, breaking my nostalgia. "You think you're clever, huh? I've got copies of the shop's tax returns. Half that place is mine." I laughed, forwarding the text straight to my lawyer, Jenna. Another gem for her evidence pile. Did he really think my business, built with my inheritance, registered solely in my name, was up for grabs? He'd mocked my spreadsheets back in the day, called my record-keeping overkill. Guess who was laughing now? Sunday brought a call from Tom's mom, Diane. Emily, honey, Tom says you've been unreasonable, that you're punishing him for wanting a fresh start. I sipped my coffee, my own dark roast blend, while arranging a stack of invoices. Did he tell you he drained our joint account, Diane? Or that he charged his little Austin trip with Jessica on our credit card? A long pause stretched over the line. He said you'd been stingy with money, that he had no choice. I've got his texts, Diane. The one where he says LOL after stealing from me, is that the no choice part? Another silence, heavier this time. He didn't mention that. I told him that text was awful, Emily. I'm so sorry. I've always appreciated you, Diane, but my lawyer says no family contact right now. Take care, okay? Lawyer already? Oh, Emily, her voice cracked as I hung up. By Monday morning, the emergency hearing was in full swing. I walked into the King County Courthouse, my boots clicking on the polished floor, my evidence folder tucked under my arm. Tom showed up late, sporting a leather jacket 2 sizes too small and a smirk that faded fast when he saw Jenna beside me. Jessica wasn't there, probably sulking at their motel after their grand escape hit a snag. Jenna laid out our case like a pro, Tom's smug text about emptying the account, the credit card charges for his Austin fling, months of shady Venmo payments I'd tracked to late-night bars and hotel stays. Your Honor, Tom's last-minute lawyer stammered, my client admits he acted impulsively, but Miss Carter's been spiteful, canceling his travel plans. Spiteful? Jenna cut in, her voice sharp. She protected her assets when her husband committed fraud. That's not spite, that's survival. The judge flipped through my paperwork, the lease proving my apartment was inherited pre-marriage, the LLC documents showing my coffee shop was mine alone, the bank statements I'd kept separate since day one. Mr. Sullivan, the judge said, peering over his glasses at Tom, you sent via text that you intentionally drained a joint account and used a shared card for personal travel with your companion. Do you dispute this? Tom shifted, tugging at his jacket. I just wanted a clean slate, Your Honor. By breaking the law? The judge's eyebrow shot up. And now you're claiming a stake in her business, which records show was established before your marriage? It grew while we were together. Tom's lawyer jumped in. He's entitled to. Ms. Carter kept meticulous records, Jenna interrupted, sliding more documents across the table. Every dime invested and earned was hers. Mr. Sullivan's name isn't on a single filing. I watched Tom's face as the truth sank in. He thought he'd waltz off with Jessica, cash in hand, maybe even snag half my coffee shop in the divorce. He'd never paid attention when I insisted on separate finances, rolled his eyes at my control-freak habits. The court finds clear evidence of financial misconduct, the judge declared. All joint assets are frozen pending final proceedings. Mr. Sullivan, you're ordered to repay the withdrawn funds within 24 hours. But it's gone. Tom blurted, his voice cracking. We spent it on, then you'd better figure it out, the judge snapped. And using a joint card for your girlfriend's trip? Not a good look, sir. Tom shot me a glare as I walked past, my head high. You're loving this, aren't you? He hissed. Not as much as you loved typing LOL, I shot back, not breaking stride. Back at the shop, I prepped for the afternoon rush, the hum of the coffee grinder drowning out the morning's drama. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenna, Jessica's Instagram is gold. She's venting about Tom's lies and their motel hell. More ammo for us. I smirked, steaming a cappuccino. Tom had been so focused on his big exit, he'd never seen me building my own safety net. That evening, Tom's brother, Mike, texted me, an unexpected move. Hey, Emily. Family's reeling. Tom told us you were the problem, but those texts, damn, he's an ass. Mom's pissed, she saw the screenshots. We're sorry we bought his story. I didn't reply, just added it to my evidence folder. Let them sort out their mess. Meanwhile, my coffee shop buzzed with regulars, the scent of roasted beans filling the air. A customer, a local blogger, asked about my secret to success. Hard work and good instincts, I said, wiping my hands on my apron. And maybe a little faith in paper trails. she laughed, jotting it down. 6 months after the emergency hearing, my coffee shop wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. I'd opened a second location in Tacoma, a sleek spot with floor-to-ceiling windows and a line out the door on opening day. The irony wasn't lost on me. While Tom floundered, the cute little coffee shop he'd sneered at was becoming a local empire. I'd hired 4 new baristas and launched a subscription service for my signature blends, shipping bags of roasted beans across the Pacific Northwest. Word about Tom trickled back through old friends. He'd moved into a cramped studio near his parents' place after they'd suggested he get his act together. Dating? A disaster. Women his age swiped left when they heard he was broke and living off his startup's fading glory. Younger women? Jessica had spread the word, screenshots of his whining texts circulating among her friends. His job took a hit too. The startup's HR team had slapped him with a warning for inappropriate conduct with an intern, and his big app pitch got shelved. He tried blaming you, his brother Mike told me over coffee at my original shop. Said you ruined his reputation. I told him to look in the mirror. Mike's visit surprised me, but it showed how far Tom had fallen with his own family. We bought his sob story at first, he admitted, stirring his latte. Thought you'd been cold, controlling. But after those texts? Mom won't even defend him anymore. My lawyer, Jenna, kept me posted on Tom's desperate moves. He'd filed motions to revisit the asset split, claiming I'd tricked him into losing everything. He said that LOL text was sarcasm, she laughed during a call. The judge asked if fraud was funnier with a laugh track. Each filing got tossed out, my paperwork, apartment lease, business LLC, separate accounts, shutting him down every time. Meanwhile, my coffee shops buzzed with new energy. A Seattle food magazine reached out for a feature, not about my divorce, but about my rise as a small business star. How do you stay so grounded? The reporter asked, sipping my hazelnut blend. Preparation, I said, wiping down a counter. And trusting your gut when something feels off. Tom's mom, Diane, called now and then, usually after he'd crashed and burned again. He'd sunk money into a sketchy NFT scheme, chasing a quick buck. Then came a business opportunity that turned out to be a scam, lost $2,000 he didn't have. I don't know what's wrong with him, she sighed. We offered to help if he'd own up to his mistakes, but he's still pointing fingers, at you, at Jessica, at his old boss. I listened, polite but distant. Their family chaos wasn't my burden anymore. My life? It was full, plans for a third location in Bellevue, talks with a roaster about a custom blend. The only echo of Tom was a framed print in my office, his first text, good luck, in bold letters, hung above my latest best local business plaque. A reminder of where I'd started, and how far I'd come. 1 year after that cruel message, I hosted a launch party for my third coffee shop. The Bellevue space glowed with string lights, packed with customers, bloggers, even a TV crew. The story they wanted? Not jilted wife, but Emily Carter, coffee queen of the Northwest. Tom's betrayal was just a blip now, overshadowed by my success. Halfway through the night, Jessica walked in, nervous, clutching a reusable coffee tumbler like a lifeline. Emily, I owe you an apology, she said, her voice small. He convinced me you were the bad guy, distant, unsupportive. Then he pulled the same crap on me when the money ran out. I adjusted a tray of pastries, unfazed. He's good at selling dreams, Jessica. Not so good at building them. Yeah, she nodded. He crashed at my place after you froze the accounts, kept saying we'd make it big once his app took off. 2 weeks of him hogging my couch and begging me to invest in his next big thing, and I saw the real him. I chuckled, handing her a sample of my new mocha blend. Let me guess, big talk, no cash? Exactly. Once the investors call, once the market shifts, all excuses. She sipped the coffee, then smiled faintly. I'm with someone new now. We're broke, but we're real. I learned a lot from you, watching you handle this. After she left, Lily whispered, was that the intern? Nope, I said, stacking cups. Just another woman who figured out the hard way. The night rolled on, orders pouring in, laughter filling the air. My coffee shops weren't just businesses, they were proof I could stand tall, even when someone tried to knock me down. Tom's family shifted too. Diane called, not about him, but to thank me. "You showed us what we'd ignored," she said. We kept excusing his selfishness, his cruelty. "He's still at that studio, still whining, but we're done covering for him. You taught us that." I thought about her words as I sketched plans for a fourth location. Tom had meant to break me, to trade me for a shiny new life and half my hard work. Instead, he'd lit a fire under me. Jenna texted later, "Tom tried another motion, claimed he inspired your shops." Judge laughed it off, fined him for wasting time. Enjoy that? I did. Picturing him in that dingy studio, still grasping at straws, while I built something real? That was sweeter than my best caramel latte. 2 years after Tom's smug "good luck" text, I stood on a stage at a Portland small business expo, mic in hand, facing a crowd of eager entrepreneurs. The topic? Protecting your vision, lessons from a coffee empire. No divorce sob story here, just my journey from one Seattle shop to 5 thriving locations. My ex told me I was paranoid for keeping my books separate, I said during the Q&A, pausing as the audience chuckled. Guess who's laughing now? A woman in the front row raised her hand. My fiancé says sharing everything proves trust. What do you think? Trust is great, I replied, but protection's better. My ex tried to take half my business in our divorce. Instincts matter, listen to them. The room nodded, pen scribbling. My coffee chain wasn't just a success, it was a movement, featured in national food blogs, employing 40 people, even catching the eye of a big roaster for a partnership. Tom? He'd faded into a punchline. Mutual friends said he'd moved into a basement rental in Renton after his startup laid him off in a restructure. His dating profile still screamed young at heart, but the photo was a decade old, nobody was buying it. Jessica, meanwhile, had become a regular at my original shop. She'd finished her marketing degree, launched a freelance gig, and stopped by one day with a shy smile. "You're why I got serious about my career," she said, sipping a latte. "Watching you turn his mess into this?" It hit me, real strength isn't chasing someone else's promises. I handed her a free biscotti. "You figured it out faster than I did," I said. "Took me 10 years with him." She laughed. Better late than never, right? The framed text in my office, "Good luck," still hung above my growing stack of awards, top women-owned business, best coffee in Washington. It wasn't about pain anymore, it was a trophy of survival. At my 5th location's anniversary party, the flagship shop glowed with new decor, exposed brick, warm lights, a line of customers stretching down the block. Bloggers snapped photos, locals toasted my blends, and my baristas hustled behind the counter. Then Diane showed up, uninvited, in a coat she'd bought from a shop sale last month. She waited until the crowd thinned, then approached, her voice soft. "I saw Tom yesterday," she said, fidgeting with her purse. Still talking about his golden years, how he could have had it all. "He doesn't get it, he didn't lose you in the divorce. He threw you away," I nodded, adjusting a display of mugs. "He thought I'd crumble, Diane." That text was supposed to be my breaking point. Instead, it was his, she sighed. "He's in that basement, alone, while you're, this." She gestured at the bustling shop. "I'm proud of you, Emily, even if he never will be." I didn't need her pride, but I appreciated the shift. Tom's family had stopped defending him, stopped pretending his cruelty was a fluke. That was my mark on them, proof you don't excuse someone who laughs while stabbing you in the back. My newest hire, a bright-eyed barista named Sarah, interrupted with a question about our inventory app, my own design, rolled out last quarter. As I walked her through it, I caught my reflection in the shop's window. Not the not exactly young woman Tom had mocked, but a 38-year-old running a damn good business. Stronger. Smarter. His text had aimed to end me. Instead, it kicked off my real story, a tale of grit, coffee, and a woman who refused to let a midlife crisis define her. Through the grapevine, I heard Tom's latest flop, a consulting gig that tanked when clients Googled his name and found Jessica's old posts about his motel days. Jenna texted me the final cherry on top. Tom tried one last appeal, said he mentored you into success. Judd shut it down, made him pay fees again. Coffee on me next time? I grinned, picturing him in that basement, still rewriting a story he'd lost control of years ago. Meanwhile, my shops hummed with life, new blends, loyal customers, plans for a 6th location in Portland. The anniversary party wound down, but one guest lingered, a young woman who'd driven from Tacoma to hear my story. My boyfriend's pushing to merge our finances, she said, clutching a to-go cup. Your expo talk stuck with me. How do I start protecting myself? Open your own account tomorrow, I told her. Track every penny. If he's worth it, he'll respect that. If not? You'll thank yourself later. She nodded, eyes wide. You're like a legend now. I laughed. Just a barista who learned the hard way. As she left, I locked up, the jingle of the bell echoing in the quiet. Tom's good luck had been his victory lap, his big, cruel finish. But I'd flipped the script. Every new shop, every award, every woman I inspired was a chapter he'd never see coming. Success wasn't revenge, it was better. It was mine.